Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Music Scrap, the musical scrapper. Hot, feels like summer day here on the east coast of Canada. I've got a couple projects I'm going to do today. I'm going to start out by showing my Alaska photo scrapbook. Then I'm going to work on a mixed media canvas using some air dry clay. And that's going to be of this Hopewell Rocks. This is in the Bay of Fundy here in New Brunswick. This is about 40 minutes down the road from where I live. Then if I have time, I'm going to work on a beach watercolor for a friend of mine. So that is today's plan. All right. So, hello to everyone coming in. We have an anonymous. We have Barb W. We have CB, Cindy Lou Who, Dr. Dot, Grammy, Judy Patootie, Kimberly, Suzanne, Linda with a Y, May. We have Joan. We have Colleen, and we have T3. So, I don't know where Eileen is. Bad girl. Not here again. She like fell asleep. Someone tweet Eileen. Tell her to get her butt over here. So, for my first recording today, I love scrapbooking. I still love scrapbooking. I haven't done it in a while. February, I went to a crop that was from 9 until 9 o'clock on a Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on a Friday, and 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on a Saturday. So I did take my scrapbooking stuff that day and got started on a few pages for my own scrapbook album. Seems like all the scrapbooking I've done in the last 5 years has been for someone else. One Christmas, I did 25 pages layouts for my older sister, my mom, my niece, and my younger sister, and, second niece, 2 nieces. So I did 4 sets of 25 layouts one year for Christmas. Hey, Kathy. Anyway, when I scrapbook trips, though, I do it differently because my 3 cruises, I've come home with between 1,900 and 2,200 photos, which I, cut down to, maybe 1,000 or 1,200 or whatever. I love to take photos. And anyway, so those photos, the ones that I've cut down with, of course, I wait until Walmart or somewhere here has a good deal on processing. And I process 4x6. But I do not, even when I scrapbook on a 12x12 page, I do not scrapbook 4x6 photos. I'll do the odd page with a 4x6 or 5x7 on it. Like, for example, when my niece and her ex got married, I did a page of their wedding with the one larger picture. But other than that, I scrapbook 3x4 or 2x3s, or sometimes little 3x3s if I put them in. You'll see anyway. So I take all my 4x6s and I have the photo albums that have the journaling spot beside them. I journaled, printed it out on my computer on labels, and I label them in. So my photos, my 4x6 photos are all journaled. Every photo that I printed are in a traditional photo album. Then I take my favorite pictures and I scrapbook them, because some people like to see scrapbooks. Some people want to see every photo you took. So this way I have both. I can take out my photo album and look at every photo I took. So Oh, Dr. Dot's got her broom out again. So when we did our Alaskan cruise, we did the Inside Passage cruise. And I took my cousin with me. Because it was like $10 more to have a second person in the cabin with you. And so then she does so much for me, I paid her airfare. And so she only had to pay for her excursion. So, the cruise is Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway. And then back. But I said, if we're going all the way over to the West Coast, we're going to do some of it by train because I've had a dream. I've always wanted to go through the Rockies by train. So, what we did is we flew to Edmonton, Alberta. So we went and we visited West Edmonton Mall for a couple of days. We stayed in a hotel right across from the mall. And we spent 2 days roaming the mall. It took us 2 days and we still barely saw the whole mall. It's kind of like the Mall of America. You know, it has the largest indoor wave pool. It has a whole amusement park inside. There's a dinner theater. And then all the shopping. And, it's a huge mall. So we did that. Then we took the train from Edmonton to Vancouver. So we got to go through the Rockies. Now, interestingly enough, the day before we hopped our train, there was a freight train that went off the rails going through the Rockies. So train activity was way behind because one of the train cars went off the track and into the river. There was no injuries and there was no hazardous leaks or anything. But what it did was slow down all the freight traffic. So even by the time we got to 2 or 3 hours, what was supposed to be 2 or 3 hours into our train, we were already a couple of hours late at Jasper. And so it took us forever because freight trains get the right of way on the rails because that's where the CN makes its money, with the freight trains, not with the passenger train. So our train had to keep pulling over to allow freight trains through, and schedules were all way behind. So anyway, by the time we woke up in the morning, we were like 5 hours. Well, we only slept a couple of hours because you're trying to, you're having fun on the train, right? We were talking to everybody. There were lots of cool people on the train. But anyway, by the time the sun rose in the morning, we were about 5 hours behind. But the cool thing about it was, it was great. We weren't on schedule. We had another 2 days before our ship was leaving port. But the cool thing about it was that because we were 5 hours late, we got to see the real Rockies, like the whole trip through the Rockies that normally the train is going through in the dark. And it was so cool because even the workers had never seen in the light of day the whole canyon part, like where you're highest up in the Rockies and they're bare. There's no trees because you're so high up. So we got to see that whole thing, and going from the barren Rockies and down gradually into the smaller trees, and then into the foliage, and then into the living, down into the valley. So I was fine that we were 5 hours late. No big deal, because we got to see even more of the Rockies than we would have. So it was great. And then we spent 2 days in Vancouver, and then we did our 7-day cruise. So in Ketchikan, getting onto the cruise ship, there was this, like magazine rack, but with flyers, pamphlets and flyers of everywhere your cruise is going to stop and all this stuff. So we each grabbed one of each flyer. Well, it turned out there were tons of coupons for Ketchikan, this particular souvenir shop. Well, she has 3 kids and a mother and a father and 2 sisters to buy for her. I had 2 sisters and 3 nieces to buy for her, and mom. And so we planned when we saw all these coupons, we're like, okay, we're going to do most of our souvenir shopping for other people and for ourselves in Ketchikan, because we had all these 2-for-1 coupons, or buy 2, get 2 free, or buy, whatever it was. They were amazing coupons. Hey, Lynn. So they had these cute little 9x9 scrapbooks. And of course I was not quite into scrapbooking yet, but I thought, oh, I could do this. I knew my sister was. So anyway, so this is, now I did one for my cousin too. And my cousins were the similar pictures, except anywhere where it's just me in the photo, I had a picture of just her. So our albums were mostly the same. There we are on the first plane, heading to Edmonton. So that was our very first plane. Sorry guys, I'm a little more I hope I'm not going downhill again. So this is our first stop. So then I do a double layout for each place we stopped. All right, these photos are 2x3. They're still plenty big enough to show everything. So this is out of our hotel room window, and that's West Edmonton Mall and Edmonton there in the background. We went to Hooters. So that's Pirate Ship. And this is all, there's the wave pool in West Edmonton Mall. And that's a statue that was in the food court of the mall. There's a animal sea life show. Got to see penguins. And then this is the dinner theater was funny. The dinner theater was called Gray's House of Anatomy. So the characters were based on characters from the TV show House and the TV show Gray's Anatomy. It was so funny. It was so good, and the food was unbelievable. I know, Kimberly, we had to go. We both thought it was funny. We both thought maybe we would get offered jobs because we're both well endowed. Of course, we're well endowed in the tummy and the behind too, unfortunately, but we thought it was funny. So I have a little journaling there. Look, I actually did flowers. Wow. And so then Rocky Mountain High. This was our train trip. Going into a tunnel. Well, we came out of the tunnel when I took the picture. This here, these are kind of, it's not a tunnel, but it goes across the rocks in areas where there are known to be, small or larger rock slides. So anywhere there's loose rocks, they build these roofs, slanted roofs, over the train tracks so that the rocks have, somewhere to go without destroying the trains or landing on the tracks. Oh, I'm sorry, that's mail coming in. That's my mail coming in. So I cut these all with my, well, Cricut at the time. I didn't have my Cameo yet. Cut everything with my Cricut. Then while we were in Vancouver, we visited Stanley Park, where they have an amazing aquarium. And look at that. We got to see the baby. She was only 3 weeks old. The baby beluga whale. And we got to watch her nursing. She actually nursed while we were watching her. We had to be really quiet, and we were in a viewing room underneath the aquarium there. But we got to see her nursing. There's redwood trees in Stanley Park. The best cheesecake I ever had, and homemade raspberry lemonade at a place called True Confections. And there's 2 in the city of Vancouver. And their cheesecake is so famous that stars order their cheesecake and have them delivered to Hollywood and wherever. All right, so then, watch out, Alaska, here we come. So, our first meal on the ship, of course, we're not going to miss any time when we go on a cruise. You know, if it says boarding starts at noon or boarding starts at 11, we're there an hour before so we can be at the front of the line, be the first on the ship. We were so early on the ship that we were almost all alone the whole time when we got to walk through and tour the whole ship, find our way around. The buffet was already open. We got to eat. We had to do an emergency evacuation practice. So there I am in my vest. There we are, leaving the port, leaving the city of Vancouver behind, and heading up the coast. Got my buttons. As you can see, I love buttons. Our ship, we were on the Norwegian Sun. Our ship, the Norwegian Sun. Oops, sorry. This is the atrium. There's a glass elevator. It's a beautiful, it's not one of their larger ships. It's one of their older ships. It's been refurbished a couple of times. It's the same one I was on for our Baltic cruise, actually, with my niece. We were on the Sun for that one, too, for my niece. So it's a big ship, but it's not one of their newest huge ones, which is just fine with me. It's big enough, but it's more classy. We were on the Gem for our Bahamas cruise, which was nice, way bigger, but also way more modern. I mean, it was neat because it had some really cool blown glass sculptures, but it was also more modern. This was classic wood and brass and shiny stuff. This is our stateroom. We had 2 twin beds and then this couch that would have folded out if we had a third or fourth person. We were right in the middle of the hallway. So this is looking one way out of our bedroom, our room door, and this is looking the other way. So huge, long ship. Oh no, Lynn, really? Bad. Hey, Shells. This is the stage. There's the pool. There we are in the front row waiting for the show. We were always in the front row. We basically had seats reserved. All of the people in the shows knew who we were. Some of the shows were so good, we went to both showings of them to watch them again. Okay, so then our first port was Ketchikan. Here's our ship. There's me. Totem Bight is a state park. That's where we went to see some totem poles. Yes, I have a rain poncho thingy on, but it wasn't pouring. It was just kind of drizzling. It wasn't bad. Look at the totem poles. And the longhouse. And that's inside the longhouse. So the word Ketchikan is cut out of this over paper here so that the background paper shows through. Hey, Kimmy. So then in the morning we went to this Totem Bight Park. We were back. We ate lunch on the ship. Then we went out and did our shopping. So then the second port was Juneau. Juneau. There's our ship in Juneau. Oh, actually, that doesn't look like our ship. It looks like a Holland America ship. There's Juneau. We went whale watching in Juneau. We got to see some humpback whales. And then after the whale watching, we went to Mendenhall Glacier. This is only one of 2 glaciers in the whole world that you can get to by land and walk up to. The rest of them are in a fjord or at sea or whatever. So it's only one of 2 glaciers in the whole world. So there's me in front of the glacier. We went, July, our ship sailed on July 4th, I think, 3rd or 4th. I know July 1st we were in Edmonton, the 2nd we left, 3rd we arrived, 4th, 5th. So, yeah, no, it would have been July 5th or July 6th we left. We sailed. So, early July. Oh, yeah, May, I bet you do. So then after we left Juneau, before we went to Skagway, we went down Tracy Arm. Now, we were one of the last ships to go down Tracy Arm, and our captain said we had the best view of any time that he had ever gone down Tracy Arm, because when the water is so cold and the air is warm, there's a lot of fog often in the fjord, but we had no fog. It was a cool, breezy day because the water's so cold and it was breezy. But I stood out there on the edge of the ship for the 3.5 hours that it took us to get into. So there's seals, little glaciers floating, icebergs, I should say. And it's interesting, the closer you get into the glacier, the more green the water gets. Oops. Sorry, I'm not holding this very close. Very still for you. Closer you get to the glacier, There's the glacier. And then it was such a perfect view of the glacier that we had. The crew members of the ship got out with their camera to take PR shots. Oh, Joan, it was wonderful. And then we went to Skagway. I love this page. Because what we did was we went up the highway. And what's really funny, Skagway is north, but it's right next door to northern BC. So, when you go up here, you actually go through customs. We went up the highway. And you come to... You're, of course, in the U.S. when you start, but you come to the Canadian border. So the custom agents come on the bus. They ask about if we have anything, yada, yada, yada. Go through all that. And then the bus goes through, and then you're in Canada. And so this is going up on the highway. And this is actually from the highway, but there's the train we were going to be coming down on. So then we boarded the train, and it's one of those narrow, what's it called? It's an old train that they would have used back in the gold rush days. And we came back down. Of course, we're on the train when we came through the border the next time. So we came back down by train. Very cool, May. That's wonderful. Oh, it was so pretty that day in Tracy Arm. People were getting cold. Of course, there were a lot of people from Canada, but there were also a lot of people from the southern states that didn't come prepared for Alaska in July. I mean, I'm like, regardless of the fact that it's July, you're going to Alaska, people. You know, you're not going to Arizona. You're going to Alaska. I went prepared with layers. I had my nice little gloves with me. So I was able to stand out on the deck for the whole 3.5 hours. So that is how I scrapbook a trip. I take my favorite, photos that are going to help me remember the trip. But I do have a photo album with all of my pictures in it that I'll sit down and look at every now and then as well. So I'm going to stop the recording here to make this a separate recording.